Hi, welcome to Clitorally Speaking, the podcast. I'm Michelle Doherty.
And I'm Emily Lane.
We are BFFs dedicated to bringing you conversations between girlfriends over a bottle of wine.
Oh, I am so excited about the wine part.
Oh, me too. So pull up a chair, grab your glass,
and let's get talking.
Hey, Emily, how are you today?
Hey, Michelle. Well, as you observed earlier, I'm great. You're always great in the studio, and yes, today is no exception.
We've been doing this for two plus years now, and every time you're in the studio, you're like, I'm just so happy to be here.
I am. How are you?
I'm great as well. No complaints. Had a wonderful dinner with both my sons this evening, which pushed me a little late here to the studio, so my apologies.
Oh, no
But
worries.
it was, we cooked together and we ate together, and I left them to clean the dishes.
That sounds lovely. Well, you're going to need that dinner because tonight we have 2 bottles of wine, which is a little special for us.
Wow. We'll just go ahead and warn all of our listeners, this might be a long episode.
It might get sloppy.
If we have 2 bottles to drink.
I think it's an honor, the fact that we are now into year number 2.
Yes, we are. And 2 bottles of wine is, I think, appropriate.
Is this going to be a trend for us?
I don't know if our liver, well, my liver, I can't speak for your liver. I know that, I cannot speak for your liver, but I'm not sure if my liver would be happy with me if I were drinking 2 bottles each episode. Mm-hmm. And if we record multiple episodes in an evening.
Yeah, that becomes a different story.
I just start slurring and talking about things. And let me tell you another thing. Yeah, that would get just, we want to keep the listeners we have.
Right.
And we want to grow it. So anyway.
Absolutely.
But I am appreciative of the wine merchant, though, gifting us these 2 wonderful bottles today. But, let's bring our guest on, because Emily and I are not drinking this entirely by ourselves.
No.
Although we have been known to do that, not while we're recording, but we both have been known
that's
to.
how the show was born,
A bottle apiece.
Yeah, so today I'm so excited to bring my good friend Karen Jones in. Karen Ann Jones would be a probably more accurate way. So if you wanted to look her up after this conversation, you'd find her in that way. Karen and I met many years ago now at an art event, at a gallery opening, and became instant friends. And, not only that night was like we had both gotten recently engaged at that time, but it just became clear that we're kind of like the exact same person, just in 2 different bodies. So we became fast friends and have had many wonderful conversations over champagne throughout our years.
Mostly champagne.
Yes.
Mostly champagne.
Hopefully you'll be okay with, tonight's offering.
Well, it is Monday.
It is Monday.
Yeah,
okay.
it's a different.
Make an exception.
Yeah.
But Karen is a phenomenal artist. And we got together for the first time, post COVID shutdown and all of that, at a wonderful outdoor venue the other night. And it was we were both thirsty for beverage and conversation. And it was so fun to catch up. And it was okay, we need to talk about all these things that are happening right now that you're thinking about, how COVID's impacted your life as an artist, and just what you're doing to better yourself through this time. It's such a fascinating conversation. It's time. Karen, let's have a clitoral conversation.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely. I'm thrilled to be here.
Good. Let me, real quick, is Karen your friend who did the illustrations for Linda Weiner's
Yes.
book?
Oh, yes.
Yes, or Linda Weiner. Sorry, Linda Weiner.
A little.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just want to
Freudian
say
moment there.
it as Wiener because it's a little more fun to say it that way.
It's spelled that way. But we had her
And it
on
makes more sense.
It makes more sense.
As a guest in season 3, probably.
Yeah.
And so now 2 and 2 are put together. So
Yes, I illustrated that book. That was a very fun year. It was 33 drawings, illustrations for her sex book, Sensate Focus, and it was a blast. It was the funniest thing though about that was the last drawing I had to do was the chapter called Senior Citizens and Masturbation, Senior Citizens, and my dog had just passed away, and I like crying a lot, and she said, just, Google the word senior citizen masturbation. And I was
Like, do I want this in my search
started,
history?
like it was dramatic, and I couldn't stop laughing, and then I had to draw it. And I'm like, oh, and my dog was old, and these people are old.
Oh my gosh.
So I will never forget that kind of capped off the whole experience in a perfect way.
One of the things, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it.
I made my husband look at the picture. I mean, I said about a dozen of them. I said, you have to see it. My eyes are burning, and you have to see it too.
So was it both like male and female masturbation or?
Well, I guess I had the freedom to choose, but I just went straight for the female masturbation.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
It's easier for me to draw that, I guess. But
Not to disparage any of our senior male listeners. I'm not so sure it would be so nice to draw an erect old penis.
no, throughout figure drawing history in my life, drawing the men at figure drawing group is not as exciting. It's pretty much boring, except for this one guy that did stand on his head and do a little yoga, which was just different altogether.
I remember my
Wow.
first figure drawing class. I enjoyed the people who were like atypical bodies. Like we had a guy, I think his name was Harold. He probably was 85, overweight, very wrinkly. And I found it fascinating.
Yeah.
There's so much to capture, this fold, that fold, I thought it was pretty cool.
I've never done a figure drawing class, but I make the best stick figures. You can tell which ones are my males, which ones are my females. Besides how I label them with the labels below. I have some key indications that I've got male and
Hair.
female. Hair, a dress,
Eyelashes.
boobs.
Which one was that for? The man?
That was a man.
Right,
That
I
was a
know, in
man.
this
Yeah,
day.
yeah, that was a man.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Let's talk a little bit about our wine so we can thoroughly usher into our conversation
Sure.
in our traditional manner here. So we are drinking a couple bottles tonight of the same wonderful Cabernet Sauvignon. It is estate grown by Chalk Hill. Balverne is this particular, school or label. It was made in 2012.
wow.
So, I think this is a pretty cool little California wine. I'm kind of out of the gate. We just opened this, and I think this is one that could probably, as it gets air, will continue to blossom into even more awesomeness. But, I'm getting on the nose, I'm getting tobacco, blackberry, some of that kind of black currant, cassis kind of aromatic, some vanilla, some smoke. And then I think all of that comes through on the palate. There's this little bit of an ashiness and definitely that kind of blackberry thing going on. It is, I think, pretty full-bodied, full-flavored, yummy. What do you think?
I think it's very yummy. And I sometimes, the smell is absolutely delightful that you just want to put your whole face into it, into the glass. It's really, but then it's smooth to drink.
It is smooth. I agree. There's not a ton of tannins here that are going to make it, but it is a 2012, so it's probably had some time to get its groove on.
It's been waiting.
It
It's
has.
been waiting to be corked. Not corked, but uncorked. I think it's delightful. I'm very pleased with the choice that they have given us to drink today. And if this were a panty from 2012, I'm seeing a crushed velvet, more of a thong combination with your matching crushed velvet bra, and basically like the color of this wine, like a really really deep wine.
Very
color.
seductive, really.
Yeah, I don't know why I would be thinking that if I'm drinking this wine on the Literally Speaking the podcast and walk in on your conversation when I got here. No, that's
right.
That's what I'm thinking.
We were having a bit of a saucy.
You were having a bit of a saucy conversation when I showed up.
Prelude for this evening, I suppose. Yeah, Karen, what do you think? You're usually a champagne or tequila or
I've
vodka
been on
drinker.
tequila for a while, but when it's change of seasons, it just seems very chewy and like perfect when it starts to get a little cooler out. It seems like it has enough body that you know if you're
By
a little
a
chilly,
fire,
by a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the chewiness of it. It's kind of like
I like that. Chewy is a good word. Yeah, I agree. So when we were hanging outside the other night, and it is change of seasons right now. Love that. It's so
For those of our listeners who aren't from St. Louis, one of the wonderful things about St. Louis is that in the month of October, it could be winter and summer and fall, but not spring. But we could get 3 of the 4 seasons in a week.
or even the same day.
Or the same day.
right.
Yeah, like
I'm hot. I'm cold.
yeah. I mean, this morning it was a little chilly, then it warmed up, and then it's like I got to open up the window at the office, get a little fresh air, and then I know it's going to be like 42 overnight.
Yeah.
But I still have my flip flops on because I was like, I don't know if I really want to switch over to boots yet. Will my feet be too hot?
I actually put tights on this morning, and then I decided, nope, not ready, not ready. I got like feeling combined. I'm like, I know it's like technically it's cool enough. I could, but I just
Because once you go there,
mentally not ready.
it's like going there, and then you're like, whoop, you got to be there till March.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So in St. Louis, we do not know what to do with our closets in the month of October, and then it repeats itself in like April, even May sometimes. So if you're out anywhere out there in listener land and you're not in St. Louis, consider yourself blessed that you don't go with what we have to go deal with.
True.
So now we got the weather talk out of the way.
Whew, weather done. So we were talking about all kinds of wonderful things, but one of the things that I was so impressed with recently, Karen, you've launched kind of your own version of doing what you love over beverages. She's doing a cocktails and art talk in her own studio, which is so cool. I've seen a couple of your episodes. I love them. They're really authentically you. You're just being, it's true. You are who you are. You're not, what you're seeing on that isn't a show or a put on. It's very natural. And of course, I love that you're embracing cocktails. But I'm curious about where this idea came into being, and was this kind of like a response to like COVID times and needing to become inspired in other ways and engage people in other ways?
I think it's a combination of a lot of those factors. So during the Corona time, I've been regrouping on what I'm painting and doing some of that good mental work that I've needed to do to say what my why is when I'm what I'm painting and why I'm even doing what I'm doing, and just get a good grip on it. So then my marketing makes sense and everything makes sense. So I signed up for a couple of art specific business workshops. And before that, I had known that I needed to do some video. So I did a studio visit video. I did a little day in the life, or come to see my house. And I loved the video aspect, but I'm like, am I going to do this every week? Is it going to be fun that I'm really that interested in it? So once I figured out what my why was, like,
and what is your why?
My why is I am a life cheerleader with paint.
Oh,
so
I
I'm
love that.
I'm a life cheerleader with paint for people who are moving and shaking and actually doing stuff and trying to live their best life and get things done. So once I figured that out, then I could just have a drinking video. I don't think I could have done that before, but it in the workshop it was kind of part of that. It came out of that to do a video, a regular kind of thing, and mostly it is designed to connect with my audience and to really have a conversation with them and interact. And I think people have good conversations when they have cocktails.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody's having a cocktail when they're watching mine. But and to learn some new things about some cocktails that it's going to be tequila a lot. I like tequila, but there's a lot to learn about that, and a lot of things you drink.
So how long have you been painting?
I've been painting since kindergarten, but
Wow.
I went to school for art. I've been an artist my whole life, but in a way that was not so great sometimes because I took it for granted, and I didn't have, I wasn't, my mom didn't say, well, why don't you be an actress? Why don't you be a musician? And then I go, oh no, I actually want to be an artist now. It just was always there. So then 10 years ago, I came to it full time, 100% making a living from that.
Wow.
So,
Okay. But you would paint because you needed to paint before.
I painted. It was it's just a part of me. I don't have that. I guess I don't, that distinction of I have no choice, I have to paint.
Okay.
Like a lot of people say that. I imagine that I do, but it's just always been me, part of me that I don't know how I could do without it. But it does, I've learned that it has helped me when I was going through difficult times, but I don't paint when I'm upset or sad. I'm not that kind of an artist.
You're not like releasing negativity out of
No.
your painting. You're processing through painting. You're actually doing the exact opposite. You're
The
releasing
exact opposite.
inspiration.
And that was kind of a struggle in a way because it didn't make sense. I'm like, oh, I just have to be happy to paint. And now it makes sense because I'm a cheerleader,
Right,
you said
a
life
life
cheerleader.
cheerleader, and that's just who I am. I almost can't be
yeah.
anything but a life cheerleader.
I'm curious. You had a twin who passed away a few years ago.
Oh, I'm
Was
sorry.
he an artist as well?
He was a 6'2" redheaded cowboy.
Wow.
And he
And Karen is not 6'2".
No,
This is her
petite.
twin.
and he was quiet. Pretty much the opposites in
Okay.
Twinland. And but he was a phenomenal artist. He did paintings, but he did a lot of drawings of his life he lived being a cowboy. His
More wildlife oriented.
more cowboy.
Oh, cowboy.
Cowboys on horses and,
Oh, cool.
and
Western.
cows around it, and very Western. It was
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
So you weren't lying. He was really a cowboy.
He was really a cowboy. He was a genuine.
So when you were saying your mom didn't say be a musician, be an actress, but she said to your brother, "Why don't you be a cowboy?"
When we left, we graduated high school the day after we thought we were just supposed to go and do our stuff. So then he went to be a cowboy, and I went to be an artist.
Isn't that wonderful? As opposed
Freedom.
to go to college, get a job in business,
Right.
Have 2 babies and 2 cars
Live in
and
the
2
suburbs
dogs.
and-
Right. It was like,
When I was in my painting class, like my actual painting class in college, my painting teacher went around the room and said what he thought everybody of the painters. And when you're in the painting studio, everybody's their major is painting. So everybody's serious about it. And he went around and said what he thought. And he pointed at me, he said, you're going to probably have 2 kids and stop painting and not be an artist anymore. And I was like,
was he looking at you or looking at your painting when he said that?
he had to be looking at me because my painting said nothing about
Yeah.
that. It was
Wow.
definitely not saying that. And I was like, I'll show you. I'm never having kids.
And I'm going to paint for the rest of my
Paint for
life.
the rest of no, I didn't really go about it that way, but I was always really disturbed by that. I'm like,
No kidding.
you don't take me seriously because I'm
You're
a woman?
cute and
And-
engaging and right.
But you're just probably going to have kids.
Unbelievable.
That was a little arrogant on his, definitely from his
I thought so too.
point.
I wonder if he's still teaching. And what is his art like? I would be really curious to see
I
that.
know, he was young.
Uh-huh.
He was a young professor. I don't even know what his art was, actually. It's interesting.
Yeah, it might be worse than. I remember an art teacher in college that was kind of predatory. Was definitely like, asking me to solicit my friends for figure drawing, but in his own personal studio. And, I remember at one point, like, failing to deliver. Like, he had met my friend and he was really wanting to draw her. And, literally, I failed that class.
Because she didn't come.
Right.
Wow.
And, I don't think, I'm an overachiever period, right? And certainly with school, and I wasn't doing just the stick figure with the triangle dress,
Hey now. But you were actually in a figure painting, figure drawing class. All right.
Right. And so, but it's pretty interesting. I think, I don't know if it was just our time in school where that kind of, I don't know, those kinds of judgments could happen with our teachers and it would go unchecked, or if it was because it was in a more creative field, they had more leeway to be more judgmental.
I think that the people, I was always not present to people judging like that in my, my life, but then it would happen. And now in hindsight, people were very judgmental and women weren't artists the way they are now.
Yeah.
And you were probably not going to be one. And he was probably saying it from statistics, you probably won't be one.
He probably could have done the same thing in a marketing class, in a education degree. So many women went to college to get their MRS degree, right? Their Mrs. Status as opposed to their degree. So he was probably coming from that experience. Thankfully, things have changed now, and there are more.
And look at the strength that has to exist within the women who have made it. Like Frida Kahlo. Come on, she had such an uphill battle. Louise Nevelson, who really didn't reach fame until what? God, she was in her 80s when she finally hit a level of being respected. Magdalena Abakanowicz, all these amazing women.
But if you think about artists of that time, how many can you even name?
Right.
We're like Frida Kahlo and Georgia O'Keeffe, and
there it is.
And
yeah.
I always fail that part in trivia nights. Yeah, I need to have Emily on the team. Well, speaking of people judgment of your paintings or of painting or of art, what was it like for you when you're creating your works and life's cheerleader, like the first time you put your stuff in a showing? Invited others to actually come in and,
Well, I've always lived fairly oblivious to it all.
Okay.
And I would be nervous, excited, but I never was insecure about my art. And luckily, and I think it had a lot to do with my mom, because she was like, "You're awesome! You're awesome! You're awesome!"
She's a cheerleader too.
She's a cheerleader, and I was thinking, where did I get this? I'm like, obviously my mom was.
Yeah.
She was my cheer. I could do no wrong. So I really did not have too much insecurity about it. And I, to this day, don't have much insecurity about it. Sometimes I think I should, think about it for a minute. Wait, does this suck?
Well,
a review.
Art is subjective, right? But you can't. How do I say this without sounding? You can't guess what somebody's going to want to buy.
Right.
But you have to paint what's
you have to create
authentic to
authentically.
you.
Well, somebody just said, "Is there really bad art?" And I think that there kind of is.
Well, I think if the intention is in the wrong place.
I think if you said the same thing about music, is there bad music? Yeah, you could be creative, but you could be bad.
Yeah.
Technically
you could be
bad.
a bad performer. You could be right. But I think when it comes to the creation of, the creation of an idea, are you creating this to make money? Are you creating this to inspire? Those are two very different motivations.
Well, I think that a lot of people, and myself included, have gone through waves of that where you don't know what to paint. So then you're like, I love dogs, and I've painted a lot of dogs, but I don't like painting dogs at all. The actual painting of them is boring to me, even though I love dogs.
Yeah.
So I just said no to my very first dog painting yesterday.
Really?
And that was a big deal to me because you as an artist, you go through stages, especially depending on how much money you have.
Sure.
I'll just paint it for money. But now I will not at all because it throws off what I'm trying to do and why I'm actually painting. So you can't be a cheerleader and say, "Hey, I'll take $5 for that cheer." Did that help you? That's good. I'll take $5 for that. So and to be creating, you can't purely create if you're thinking about anything, because money, everybody has some kind of a thing about money, no matter what it is. No matter how rich or poor you are, there's a trigger of something. And so if you even have that in your head, then that's something in your past about your conversation about money is going to be in there.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about, and I think, it's interesting. I think throughout history, and Michelangelo. I mean, did he paint the Sistine Chapel because it was a gig or because it was his passion, right? So many artists throughout history, and people just in general throughout their careers, you make choices to pay the bills. But I love this idea that you're talking about of the law of attraction, or maybe the law of art traction, of putting that energy out there of what resonates you and inspires you. And then by saying, I'm not going to distract my time with the dog painting right now, even though I love dogs and I'm good at it, I'm going to focus my energy where I know my heart can do the best job. And then that kind of work is going to come back.
Yeah, because I think it's ultimately about energy. And then the energy that goes into that painting, and then the energy that you don't even realize that is going out from what you're painting. But even before you start painting, you have to, like, if you bring anything to the table that's like your baggage or your trash or your yesterday's dishes, that's going to be in that painting. So then it's more about your life as opposed to your pure, clean creativity. I think purely creating has to come from the complete present moment. Is it then you create something, even in your life, you want to make something up that you want to do? Are you making it up because you never got to do that in your life? Or is it just flat out raw creation? I want to just do that. But I think the older we get, we have, but I like that. So you know how to add in things that you like. But I think that's still clean and pure.
Sure. Adding an editorial commentary to it that adds these other components of things that, again, it's a part of your story.
Yeah, and you can't take yourself really out of it.
No, and I would think that people are attracted to art that speaks to them from whatever they are in at that present moment themselves, right? You talk about, there's artists out there who are working through their traumas that they've experienced in their life and whatever, big pieces that they put together or small sketches, whatever it is. And that might attract somebody who is at the same time working through something similar, I guess what is very enlightening to me and probably to other people is to know that, cheerful, life's cheerleader that's art. Art doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be dark. It doesn't have to be
vague,
sad,
right?
We're in a difficult time right now, and there's a lot of negative stuff you can paint. You could really go down that avenue hardcore, but I really believe in like attracts like. And so if I spend a 40-hour week on something that's negative,
you're going to get negative.
I'm just going to get more negative. But I did do 5 large paintings during the Corona time in the beginning that, where I have one that says, "You've got this," and "Hey, how you doing? Okay," and WTF. But it was a reflection of the time. But
there's also strength in these women that you've painted, or
like, we can do this.
Yeah,
we can get through this.
Yeah, I think I've always kind of struggled with this question of with the law of attraction and I remember years ago where like you and I were hanging out in a pool, and I remember, I had some concerns at the time, and you were very like, nope,
Don't put it out
we
there.
can't talk about it, and I was so confused by that because I struggle between the balance of acknowledging that there's something to be concerned about, like COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's out there.
Mm-hmm.
We should be concerned about it. We should take care of ourselves, right? It's not going to say I shouldn't enter every place going, "Oh my God, I could get COVID." But we should just take care of ourselves and be aware that it's here. So what's the balance between awareness and not attracting the wrong kind of energy?
I think it's entirely feeling. It's about the feeling. So your thinking mind knows it's COVID. Your thinking mind already has that path of, well, I don't want to get this, so I'm going to do this. And you handle it in the way you've handled other things in your life. And you have a feeling about it. So if you start going down that, like, panicky, like maybe you were in the hospital and it reminds you of that. So then you go to that path that you had in the past. Instead of, I think the difference is finding the best feeling you can find in that moment that's like right that moment. So like even this right now, it's so fun just to have the three of us having a conversation, and there's not a million people, and it's a great feeling to do that. So finding the best feeling in that moment, no matter what the conditions are, because there's always going to be conditions, and making a new path for your brain that isn't your old habit of panic or fear, but it's a new one that could actually be, you could have a good feeling even about dying,
Sure.
So you can have a positive experience. So I think you can find a positive experience even inside of
Love that.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
you're
then
right. It's the emotion tied to that experience.
It's the emotion tied to it. So if you're focused more on that positive emotion, then you're just going to get more positive emotions. And it's not going to be that thing doesn't go away. You just
That
have a
makes
mask
so much
on.
more sense. It doesn't mean you have to deny reality.
No.
It's just what that reality, seeing the possibility in that reality as opposed to the fear in that reality.
And the feeling doesn't have to be fear.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
And just because you don't have fear in something,
I finally understand this for the first time.
and you don't have to have fear to totally appreciate what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
Because really the best, I'm just getting that this week is my lesson this week is to sit in the unknown, the real unknown. Like, I really don't know what's going to happen.
right.
In the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
No, we
so,
don't.
but when you're sitting and not knowing what's going to happen, that's when real creation happens too. So I think the beauty of this whole time is I've been really able to spend my time creating my future without a lot of distractions, which has helped.
Yeah, I feel the same. This time, socially, my world has condensed in a huge way, and that used to be my means of getting my inspiration and getting my energy and creative ideas. I'd go out, I'd hang out with my friends like you, and I'd have a great night, have fun, and my mind would bubble over, And now I've had to reinvent what that process is. And I have found it to be a highly productive time for creating because it's quieter, and but I'm having to go about it in a different way.
Or let me ask you this. You have actually made time for that process to happen.
That's true.
and then prior to in the before times, pre-COVID, and we were quite busy socially. Lots of things, we could distract ourselves with,
That's true.
or think this is the only way I can gain my inspiration. But the cool part is that our forced contraction, our forced stay at home orders, things of that nature, helped to put us in a space where we stopped to be in the moment, to listen, and know, like, hey, this is, and then you've had success in your new path that was probably there all along. It just was crowded out with other things. Even myself, I know I said this on earlier episodes, where I have enjoyed being at home. I mean, everything's a balance. Because I've been able to get things done, or I find that pleasure of, even just taking the power washer out to the back deck, and like cleaning things off. When pre-COVID, my Saturday would have been filled with wine tastings and go see this, go see that, do these things that I would have put some of my other fulfilling activities on the back burner, because I had all these other things.
Yeah.
So now I say to myself, post-COVID, because we will get to a post-COVID time, I don't have to say yes to everything. I can say, no, I'm going to pass on the wine tasting today. Shocker. I'll drink later when I'm done, but I'm going to stay home and plant some flowers.
Well, I think there's also
paint,
something in kind of like what you're talking about, Karen, and it's the emotion tied to it. So it's finding pleasure in the things that are right there with you.
Well, and
right?
I think for the entire world, finding pleasure in this time period has been a challenge.
I think it's actually been good, because it's made everybody get a little bit out of their comfort zone. And so when you're out of your comfort zone, you're not doing your habitual things, even though they're great. Going to wine tasting is great, but we just did those things because or we went to this art opening exactly the same way, or we didn't really think outside of our box too much because we were pretty fulfilled. But now it all got thrown in the trash, so we had to start over and go, hey, we can't go to the art opening, so what are we going to do? And we had to just recreate from, and everybody had, which is sort of fun.
Yeah.
Everybody had to sort of do it. And some people are doing it better than other people.
Yeah,
but-
well, those who are embracing the challenge.
Right.
As
Exactly.
opposed to just, giving up, right? And just being like, oh, okay, well, it's another evening on front of the TV,
Well, and everybody processes these things differently, and maybe for that person who is sitting in front of the TV
or
that's
listening to the podcast.
that's the best they can do right now.
Well, everybody's
of
journey is
course.
different
Yeah.
too, and
Yeah.
everybody has different speeds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe sitting in front of the TV is going to actually help them.
Yeah.
True.
In the big picture,
I had a in my years of transitioning, post divorce or in the midst of divorce and in the midst of jobs, I definitely had some quiet times, and I made a point to give myself the okay and to be like,
That's
you know what? I'm going to watch some movies today. I'm going to watch Hallmark today.
yeah.
Because there's going to be a time I'm not going to be able to do this, and I'm going to need to draw from this moment of time of energy and relaxation.
I remember calling my sister one, I don't know, Saturday, it could have been a Friday, but I was just really stressing about the fact that I had all these things I wanted to get done in the house, and I was like, and I hadn't done them all, and we had been, COVID has been around 6 months now. I'm like, and I just was feeling sort of like very overwhelmed with my own expectations of myself.
That
And
sounds very Michelle.
it does. And I called her up and she was like, you can just sit there and watch TV one day if you want to. You can do that. You don't have to, keep, worrying about this stuff, and it was like I I needed her to let me give myself permission. You know, it was just sort of that, and I have. There have been a few days where it's been nice. I'll have binge watched an entire season of something, and I don't feel guilty that I didn't dust or I didn't do the laundry or I, didn't completely rearrange a closet, but how we can give the permission to ourselves is a practice that, it's daily.
important.
Well, I think that we're all growing through this, even if the people who are not present to the fact that they're growing.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you grow, you need like a quiet day. It's actually part of the process, I think. It's part of the journey, and it's okay to have that quiet time, or even if you like just have a day of freaking out and crying all day, like it's part of it's like growing pains or something. I think.
You need processing moments, right? Where you become an introvert for a moment. You kind of go into your cave, you reflect, you rest, because your mind, your emotions, your body, it's all going through a lot. So,
and then I think this, not that I wasn't already compassionate to my fellow citizens, I feel like this this COVID times has made me just a little more sensitive to what somebody else is going through, because at the base level we're all going through the same thing, but I feel like I just have a little bit more grace towards.
So your empathy
neighbor,
has grown.
or heightened, maybe. I think my empathy has always been there, but a little more heightened, a little more awareness. I still call people fuckwads on the highway, but I might go, well,
maybe they're racing to the hospital.
Maybe they're rushing home for something, or I don't let that anger or that frustration stay with me as long. I
have gotten a lot better about like the road anger issues. Like if somebody
it helps that the traffic isn't as bad as it used to be, but
I mean, St. Louis driving's crazy, and I mean it was common where somebody would just do something terrible in front of you,
I've never been like that. I'm like, go ahead.
That's exactly it.
Whatever. I'll just sit here for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I have definitely adopted that since COVID. I'm like, I don't have that many places to be right now anyway. Like, go for it. And I found so much pleasure in being able to release that frustration of shitty drivers.
Yeah.
I just said a cuss word, by the way.
Yeah, but not the cuss word.
I know, but that's still a step up for me.
That is. I definitely just feel like there's a little bit higher empathy, heightened empathy too, because we nobody brought this upon themselves. And
I think our own humanity has showed up a lot more. Everybody's noticed. Well, let's just
I
not
was
say
going to say
everybody.
I was kind of like, I think
well,
you're
inside of
right,
my bubble
kind
of the people,
Yeah.
humanity is showing up and in a lot of different ways.
It's getting tested for sure. Like there's a spectrum of humanity.
Well, in the beginning, everybody was together. There were Facebook groups. How do we support this, support that? 314 together, or like restaurants that are open. I mean, there was a lot of like, let's bond together of this, right? And that's hard to sustain as everybody's wallets get a little tighter. Jobs are, get lost. I mean, it just, and then you're like, how I gotta take care of my family, or, there's a little bit of a contraction to it. But I believe this, we will get through all of this together. I don't think we're going to get through this if we are just individuals
That's
trying
true.
to, I've got mine. Best of luck to you over there. I just feel that like if we, to collectively focus in on how we can bring everybody through. And I'm sorry.
I hope that's let's think law of attraction. That is the
I
case.
was just saying that law of attraction in the big picture kind of way is that's a we'll probably need 2 more bottles
I
of wine
know,
for
like,
that conversation
yeah, we
because
have more.
it's so big, almost hard to grasp, but it really is combined energies of like attracts like. And so the more we pay attention to the getting through it or the positiveness of what we're getting through, as opposed to just being so present to how everybody's doing it wrong, then it's I think we just, when we're present to how everybody's doing it wrong, then I feel like it just makes more people present to how everybody's doing it wrong.
Magnifies it.
It magnifies it,
Yeah.
I think. But it's that's a hard thing just to collectively, let's get through this.
I think that, and like, okay, so we have COVID and we have a really polarizing election. And so thinking about the tactics that are employed during election, and it's crazy, the stuff, like, with AI technology and all this stuff that's coming into play to help like shape viewpoints. And I mean, it's just crazy. So a lot of those tactics are negative, like using this kind of idea of a law of attraction. Like, how can we, I mean, I feel like the election is all based on the exact opposite of what we're talking about. So how can we protect ourselves against this?
Well, I think about that with my art and what am I painting a representation of what's going on right now. And I think you have to see what the reality is so that to be a life cheerleader, you have to know what's going on to what to cheer for, or who to cheer for, or how to cheer, or how to even help in any way. You have to be present to it. But like, how do you actually go about doing that? Is a good thing to think about. I haven't 100% decided, but I'm leaning towards painting the Statue of Liberty, and I paint a lot of women. And I just think she's really symbolizes something that we forgot about. And she's very empowering. And so I'm leaning towards do a small one.
I think that's a marvelous idea.
I find that when the political ads are on the television or on the radio, I can feel the negative energy coming out of the television, and it's like I turn it off, change a channel, not interested. I'm not taking that in, resisting of that. So not everybody is going to be as aware, right? I mean, I have family members that aren't as aware, and they take it in, they internalize it, and they get all angry as well. And it's unfortunate.
It is. I think that during this time, it's really clear to me that, just going back to the law of attraction thing too, is we are in charge of creating our life, but not everybody's going to choose to create their life. They're going to watch the TV and listen to the negative stuff because it's very comfortable for them. And creating their life is a little bit more uncomfortable.
There's some accountability with that.
And there's accountability that they have to actually own their choices, and it's constant choices and doing it wrong and messing up. But it's a clear decision.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of people, and if somebody's going to just live, we're not going to change everybody and say, okay, let's all be uncomfortable right now. Let's all go do this.
Yeah.
No, there's going to be a bunch of people that are just going to choose comfortability. And I just say, that's your life, Love it, but I like to create it.
I like that idea. Well, ladies, let's create a little more positive energy and refill our glasses.
Sure,
Take
absolutely.
a brief pause and then come on back.
Talk some more.
I know.
Let's attract like.
Exactly.
I wish
more
it worked
wine.
for wine. Wine attracts wine.
It does.
Yeah.
But not whining.
Right.
So that's a different podcast. It's a different episode. So we'll be right back.
Fabulous. All right.
Fabulous.
Don't you love how like loose they're just like glug, 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 glug,
Yeah,
glug,
she's
glug.
like, normally she'd be like, okay,
I
hold
know.
on.
I'm like,
Get out,
sure
get
everybody
out
has
the
equal-
tablespoon.
We've got
I need,
equal force.
I need the measuring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we usually are making one bottle last amongst all of us for the entire conversation. So
This seems like a never-ending bottle, or is this a new bottle?
this is new bottle.
Okay, so I'm like, holy shit, we've only drank half.
No.
Have
We're
wine with
on.
my mom and Steve. Oh my God, they're absolutely hysterical. I was at the winery with them yesterday, and they get a
Sam, do you want
bottle,
more?
and they get down to the bottom of it, and my mom goes, "Are we gonna get another bottle?" I'm like, "You're always getting another bottle." I go, and then she goes, "Well," they start to pour it very, very evenly.
At the end?
At the end.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like, "Well, I don't just go get the bottle, and then you don't have to do that." So then they get it, and then they start it all over again, and at the end they're like, "Well, are we leaving, or are we getting another bottle of wine?" And it's funny that bottom end.
I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
My dad came through town Thursday, and he has been brainwashed by Fox News over many years. So we have learned to not engage in political conversations with him. He and his girlfriend will throw something out, seeing if somebody will take a bait, but we just. I also have learned not to take, and thankfully, one of the benefits of COVID is that, restaurant doesn't have dine in or, whatever it is, and because they were on their way to Tucson. Sorry, my chair's so loud. And so we've also learned not to go to restaurants that have televisions because, they'll see something like, oh, well, what do you think about?
Right.
Right after Trump was installed, we were at Chimichanga's Mexican restaurant, and my dad's girlfriend wanted to talk about, the immigration policy and how proud. I was like, I'm not talking with you about this right here, right now. Okay? I'm not. No, this is not the place.
Isn't it funny how people
They want to start stuff.
It's kind of like they want that angst.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. So I have our tactic is fortunately when they came through in May, we sat on the front porch. Now this time we sat out in the back deck. It's wine, it's cheese, and it's just conversation about a bunch of things. But if somebody throws a little thing out, we just
Kind of ignore it.
we kind of ignore it. We just let that motion die on the table. But we went through 3 bottles of wine, and my dad I was pouring out the last one, and I said, "No, Dad, don't worry. I'm not getting another bottle. We've done 3, but there was more of us drinking it." But and then I sent him to bed with a charcoal tablet. I'm like, "Take your charcoal tablet," because he still had to drive the next day. Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have time for me to go to the bathroom?
Oh yeah, it's right there. And I'll probably edit all this pit out.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No, this is the good stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
How was it? How was it hanging out with your?
It was good. We had history lessons, and we drank wine, and my dad was very happy with how everything was, and the conversation was good. Jake was there, William, Candy, and then Aunt Austin came by. That's when I got this one, and because she was taking pictures of lots, she had like 20 masks to take pictures of with me, and so she sat out there and had some wine with us too. So it was good. It was a good time. Dad was a little hungover, but the charcoal tablet, made it better than it would have been.
Yeah, kidding.
'Cause
I definitely.
Apparently,
I'm very thankful for you. We
You have
should
your
have
charcoal?
We should have a charcoal sponsor. I mean, like, I know.
Where do you buy those?
You can get them at Whole Foods
Yeah,
or
Walgreens
online at
even.
Walgreens. They're activated charcoal tablets.
They make a difference. They really help. Yeah.
They absorb what's left in your stomach and like bind to it and then sort of escort it out without your liver having to process
So
it.
you don't like continue to metabolize alcohol.
Yes. It's
Sometimes it can be a 2 charcoal.
oh yeah, I've had 2 charcoal tablets. I was like,
I've had that.
Jessica and I in Chicago. It's a 2 charcoal night.
Uh-huh.
I probably should have given my dad 2 charcoal tablets, but
Yeah.
I was like, let's just give him 1.
Yeah, because he hadn't done that yet.
I've
Right?
never done it. The last time he was here, he did one. No, no, no. I'm like, okay. This time he didn't fight it.
He was like, that was painful. Last
Jake's like,
time.
I'll take him aside. Like, get him a charcoal tablet. Okay, Mom.
Put it in his just.
No,
Yeah,
you know.
I
And he
know.
took it. He didn't even drink anything. He just swallowed it. It's like, oh.
Taking charcoal the next day helped really
Oh
help.
my God! That night before.
The night
you go
before,
to-
even the
before when you fall
activated charcoal
asleep.
tablets.
Big
I was
time.
with that for a while because of gas,
Uh huh.
and it actually
Yeah,
really helped.
yeah, it
Did
does
it?
help that too.
Okay. No, it helps with the.
Oh, wow.
It's what they give people when they've drank too much in the hospitals. They pump your stomach with charcoal. It's the same
Yeah.
stuff.
I thought it was like for drugs, but I guess why wouldn't it be for alcohol?
Yeah, yeah. So
Duh.
yeah, so sometimes it's like just a charcoal tablet. Yeah, it makes a world of a difference. The liver can rest while you're
I'm gonna
sleeping.
Buy some more.
Yeah.
I don't really have too much of a problem anymore, though.
Well, now that we're in COVID times and not
Yeah, I
going out every night and hanging out for all these hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 11 o'clock curfew says if you go to bed by midnight, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, do we have any elegant ways to like weave in the conversation about just?
I can talk about my nude photo session I did.
Okay, yeah. All right. So,
It was
like a
this week.
recent. Okay.
Yeah, it was this
perfect.
week.
Okay. Yeah.
Be all ready.
And we're back.
Yes. Thank you very much for giving me some more wine,
I
Emily,
know.
and everybody else.
I did a glug 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 pour this time,
did,
as
you did.
opposed to like let's see how level I can make it, which is the freedom of 2 bottles. It's lovely.
Except the
isn't it?
problem is, I feel like I'm trying to drink fast. I need to
Oh,
slow
no.
down. 'cause I have
Yeah,
so
no,
much
we're
in my
here. We
got
got-
so much in my glass. It's so generous. I don't have to. I don't have to.
You have your drinking podcast timed perfectly.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't have to space this out.
No, you do get to just enjoy.
And enjoy it.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Savor.
So, Karen, do
Savor.
you have any cool projects you're working on right now?
Well, I have 2 actually. During my little workshop, one is actually called a Small Works Workshop. It's 11 weeks, and it's designed to focus on a project of small painting or small whatever. And so this is perfect for Christmas time. So I'm going to do 12 by 12 inches original paintings that are small versions of my big paintings.
Oh.
So it's not going to be a whole new thing. Like I'm not going to paint trees now. I'm going to try to do small versions of what
Like
my
the
big
ones that
paintings
are, so like your
Yeah.
Basquiat and your Warhol that
Yeah,
everybody
like my
loves.
Basquiat or
Yeah,
Warhol, or even
cool.
like part of their face.
Oh, I
not
love
their
that
whole
idea.
face.
Oh my
So
God.
we'll see how it goes, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. And so then at the same time, my last 6 paintings were 48 inches by 48 inches, which
Wow.
is very easy to fall in love with it. But
Because you are literally like leaning into the whole
you
piece
are
as
in
you're
it.
making
You are
it.
living in that person you're
amazing.
painting. I always say that painting is like having a week affair. I just had an affair with that painting, but the big ones are really
Yeah, it's intimate.
is nice. So it's hard to not always want to do that, but it's not realistic for a lot of people to own a 48-inch
Right.
I'm thinking like
painting.
right now, where would I hang something like that in my house? I don't have enough wall space to
Even-
give it justice.
Even if you're
you know?
madly in love with it, you're like, well, I just can't go
I
anywhere.
just
So
can't.
I do have those images all on clothes and skirts and dresses and masks and
your
stuff.
merchandise.
My merchandise that you can take small things home. But I want to focus on original paintings. But I have not a small, a big painting that this person came to me and she's turning 22 and it's her golden birthday and on October 26th.
Yeah.
And she wants to remember being 22 and what she looks like. And so we did a nude photo shoot, and she wants it to be a nude painting, which is going to be pretty big. However big it needs, full body, and but
Life
in-
size?
life size almost. But she wants to be able to keep it for the rest of her life. She wants her grandkids to see it, so she doesn't want it to be too
Risque.
raunchy.
Yeah.
So it's we
It's
took a-
tasteful.
It's tasteful. I'm gonna try it. it was very easy. It was a very easy photo shoot. Even though I probably took 1,000 photos, I probably only needed 3
Yeah.
because she was so easy to photograph. But it was really fun. But it really questioned, like, I want the person to feel comfortable when they come in, they take their clothes off, or, it's a different kind of thing to do. It's not something you do normally, even if you're 22 and you like your body, or even if you're 62 and you like your body. It doesn't matter. You're still a different thing to do.
I wonder though. I just a philosophical question. At 22, my perspective of my body was way different than when it's now at 51. And
What was your perspective of your body at 22?
well, I still hated it. No,
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, like,
But I think that when I look at myself at 22, I feel as if I have gotten more, I like more beautiful as I've gotten older.
Mm-hmm.
And I worry that if she wanted to capture what she looked like
Her
at
beauty
22,
at 22.
that she may be shortchanging what she's
where
going to
her
grow.
real beauty is.
Right, what she's going to grow into.
Well, right, what she gets from this painting might be totally not what she thinks she's going to get from it.
Yeah.
Isn't that
So when
fascinating?
she's 52, she's going to be, you know what, I love who I am, even though, my butt was really tight then. It's still whatever, like,
Yeah.
not that everybody has to go downhill in how their physical body is, but I wonder if they're thinking, but this painting will be a reminder. She will never forget what she felt like when she was 22.
That's true.
Yeah.
How she was that day.
Well, and I mean, it's also what confidence and power she had to ask for a nude. I want this nude painting of myself at 22 years old. That's that's an awareness that
She's
she
pretty
wanted
confident.
that.
Yeah, she's pretty confident. But it makes me wonder how many people would do that. How many people would hire a painter to do a nude painting of themselves, even if it was small and they could hide it in their bedroom, just to go and hire yourself and hire yourself.
Yeah, we know what you're saying.
But to do that and to go through with the process is, I think, the
Now
cool
we know
part.
why you said no to the dog painting, because you've got this.
Well, let's just say paint dogs or paint naked people.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy.
Which one's not boring?
But it's not boring. But
It is pretty interesting. I mean, it is kind of it's a real vulnerability to put yourself out there, and I'm sure you've had people who have been first time in that kind of situation. What do you do to help people feel comfortable about taking their clothes off?
most people, it is their first time that have done it. And the last one I did, the person was actually trying to get over how they felt about their body. They hated their body and they wanted to love it. And so they said, well, maybe if I do this experience, then, it'll change that. So when they get there, I make them a nice, strong tequila. I give them a bathrobe and, I just make it I've done a lot of figure drawing and seen a lot of naked people, but I don't think of it like that. And I'm really concentrating on what I'm trying to do. And I don't
Do
think
you coach people at all, like in their movement or positioning, or do you just kind of like get them and then you're like, okay, this is where we need to be?
I
How do
kind
you
of let
help?
them do it themselves. And it's funny because they all talk through it, like, should I be doing my arm? Should I be doing like shit? And that everybody's a little nervous. And I'm like, you're just perfect. Just whatever you're doing. And just let them move around. And then I move all over the place. And I zoom in and I can see it. And I hopefully capture it.
From all different
From all-
angles to help you when
to
you're
get
when you're
something.
putting it out there.
Yeah. So pretty much they can sit there and I could figure it out. Even if they didn't move very much. So you don't have to be a professional model.
Yeah.
And, all these different things.
Well, and they're only mimicking what they've seen on TV with the supermodels, and I guess that's how we're supposed to turn and look and flip our hair or whatever it is.
Well, and when they're doing something completely unknown, nobody gets that little, it's not that common. So they're like, oh, I know how this goes. And they don't. So it's great because then they're like questioning themselves. I like it as an experience for them more than the painting. They also get that little photo shoot experience of,
Being a supermodel.
hanging out with me, being
Yeah.
a supermodel.
Yeah.
So Michelle, you just said something that made me think about a segue to our
To another topic.
conversation we were talking about.
The first time you've ever no.
The first time. Well, so I have never been a nude model. Okay, I was. So have you been a nude model? Emily's been.
I have too.
Oh my
I loved it
gosh.
actually.
I loved it too.
Yeah, it's
Was it for like a one person or for like a
a
class?
class.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what mine was too.
You.
It was
Wow.
it was between high school and college, and I was taking a figure drawing group, and they're like, "We need a model for Thursday." I'm like, "Okay."
Did you get paid for it?
I think $50.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I
But
Something that
like if you're
sounds
getting
about right,
paid
yeah.
for it, makes all the difference, you know.
Right.
I
Doesn't
just
make
like
you feel any better about it, really.
Did you
I
it
after
was hard.
after you did your
It is hard. Well,
after you did your
staying in
nude
position that
class?
long.
Did you know that when you went to history, next class you had to wear your clothes? I mean, you were able to make that distinction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It was funny.
Absolutely.
It was very hard though, because it's
physically hard, actually.
physically
Yeah.
challenging. The last thing you're thinking about is what's sticking out wrong, because you're like,
You're in a
Did I
position for an
move?
hour and a half or
don't
whatever.
The same
yeah.
position.
you
Yeah.
can't move, or
It's just like your body could start
It gets
hurting.
hard.
And
It
you're like-
does.
your arms asleep, and all you can think about is your arms asleep.
Yeah.
How much time is left?
Yeah.
The last thing you're thinking about is 20 people are staring at me right now.
Do you feel like I'm getting so hot now? I mean, not hot like in an aroused sense, but like I'm starting to sweat. I
No,
mean,
that didn't happen for me.
That didn't happen
It was
for me.
it was just the pure like, oh my god, I think it's only been 5 minutes, and I have to be here for another hour
and
and 20.
I shouldn't have picked this position because this is a challenging one, but I didn't think that would be the case in the beginning. But your leg up is hard
I just
to
thought
hold.
this one made my boobs look good. Right.
Wow.
Oh my
Wow.
god. So
well,
yeah.
that's kudos to you, ladies, for doing that, having that experience to talk about.
Well, I think it's easier for me to ask somebody to pose now, or when I go to figure drawing, I know what they're going through.
Yeah. Your
So-
empathy is heightened.
My empathy.
You're like, no, go ahead, put your arm down.
Arm down. I already drew your arm. Go ahead.
Put it down
But
now.
if you keep talking, I might just kill you. I'm working on your face right now.
So, have you ever had anybody commission you that you feel like they had other intentions? Like, were they like, oh, she paints nude people?
No, but I'm worried about it now.
Sorry, I didn't want to put the negative energy out there.
No, I'm always
No.
watching out for creepers, but
Yeah, sure.
um,
to vet that stuff out maybe a little.
I can
yeah.
somehow ignore. I don't.
Well, you can sense their
I
energy.
can sense it.
Yeah,
And if you
you're
don't
very
like the
sensitive.
energy, even if they're not, I mean, you just why bring them into your studio? Then have to smudge everything and open up the windows and blow. No, just
I did have somebody want to come over and look at my art and didn't look at my art.
Okay.
And I'm like, when are you going to actually look at the art? And I go, you just better go.
oh my gosh, was your husband home at the time?
Not fast enough.
oh my god.
I was like,
Yeah.
hurry up. He's not looking at the art.
I would be very nervous because your studio is in your home. Like, I would be nervous about inviting.
This was the one way out there in Fenton, so it was a lot more creepy.
even way out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Anyway, I don't
my
worry about
God.
things like that. now,
Good.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, you just say, hey, you get any closer, I'm going to give you COVID. Because I don't know if I'm clear yet.
I didn't have it this morning.
No, but that's what you say. I don't know if I'm over
I'm
it
not
yet.
over. It was 13 days this morning.
Yeah, but if you get any closer, I think I'm going to sneeze all over
All
you.
over you.
Yeah.
Can we talk about COVID for a second?
No, really? Have we talked about COVID yet?
I have a alarming kind of thought.
Sure.
And I do want to get to other topics,
I know.
but I do want to, since you brought it up.
It's brand new. It's a brand new topic. COVID. Go ahead.
I'm kind of alarmed by the variances state to state to state in the United States about what they're saying is good and not good. Like, I have recently learned of friends in another state,
A neighboring state.
a neighboring state, who have COVID. The son has a fever, still testing positive, and they're like, it has been more than 10 days since original exposure. He's no longer contagious. He just needs to get back to work and stop taking the test because he keeps taking the COVID test. They're like, he needs to stop taking the test. He's, regardless if he's positive or not, he is not contagious. He just needs to get back to work. And you guys, it's been more than 10 days since you're even, great, you're feeling good. It's been 10 days. Get out there. Get back to work.
Yeah,
I'm just like,
I think
there's no
there's a
definitive
mixed up.
information about this stuff.
Everybody's going to make up their own version of things, and that's the hard
It's the
part.
health department of that state.
and I would have to throw it back to the fact that there has not been a consistent message from the top down about.
I agree 100%.
And that he left it to the states, and
It's
the states left it to the
concerning.
localities, and things like that. I would.
My friend was told. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I would just
you.
wonder, like, if your friend's being told this, what did your friend do? Did your friend
She
opt
challenged
on the?
No, she challenged it. She even said, like, look, my mom is 78 years old. She lives across the street. She's like, are you sure it's safe to see her? And they're like, oh yeah, of course it's safe.
How do they
And-
know? I always wonder that.
They don't.
So all these people say, well, I know this. I said, did you go to college for any? Are you a doctor? Did you learn? Because it?
Did you study infectious diseases?
Yeah.
I really think
Could-
it's
yeah.
it's so disrespectful. Someone goes to school for 10 years, whatever. And you're saying they don't know what they're talking about. But me, who, didn't learn anything, I know.
Oh, but it's my
what it
state's
is.
health department. They should know.
Yeah.
She was like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to take the risk. And they're like, well, that's kind of silly. You can be overly cautious if you want to, but it's perfectly safe. And I'm just like, wow. I was astonished by this. I'm glad that she's like, I'm going to wait, you know?
I would think that,
but-
anybody would want to see examples of a negative test before. If I had employees and they tested positive, I would say, I need to see your negative test before you can come back to work. That's just how it goes, right?
I agree.
It's like the same
Yeah.
thing with like when people have like strep throat or
Yeah, well, to your point, Karen, of the, like disrespecting the actual, educated community out there. Those people who I've talked with some pretty rock stars in the rare and infectious diseases and immunology arena lately, and nobody has a consensus on this thing yet,
Right.
So that alone should say caution is the best practice.
Well, don't you think also the social media, if everybody gets to have an opinion nowadays, is like, oh, I get to have a free opinion and everybody will listen to my opinion. And it's gone rampant in every category. Even, let's just even say the doctors, because they get to voice it so much to everybody. And everybody's trying to be right. or
well,
something.
Yeah.
and the social media companies, the algorithms are only going to feed you things that support your idea already.
Right.
You're only going to keep they know your preferences. They track what you look like,
That's true.
what you read.
They're not giving you challenging content.
No.
Yeah.
And then on the occasion that, a posting that I may have, which is definitely left leaning, shows up in my right leaning people's news feeds, I get all kinds of attacks. It's like, just unfucking follow me.
Right.
I
I don't have one negative thing in my feed. I don't know what I'm doing wrong or right or anything, but I only have dogs.
Naked
Art.
people.
and naked people.
Love clothes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Like
must, it's a
attracts
lucky
like,
thing.
right?
It
But
does.
pretty much it's leaning towards 80% dogs right now.
Oh my God. I
Yeah.
love
Pets
that.
doing cute things.
Oh my God. Speaking of pets doing cute things. So there is an amazing Facebook post that was circling around that was this woman who set up a webcam in front of her feeder her bird feeder out in her backyard, and it captured all of these various animals at the eating from the feeder. A wide range of birds and squirrels, ravens to cardinals, woodpeckers, birds I've never even seen before, bluebirds. I mean, the whole range of them. And just you could see their personalities.
Neat.
It was so, like, every one of them, Karen, would have been an amazing painting. So I'll have to share it with
Oh my
you, because
gosh.
I'm like, you might not go paint dogs anymore, but you might want to paint
I might
birds
wanna
after
paint-
this.
I did paint one bird before. I saw this bird feeder that you put in your windowsill, like you keep your window open about half a foot or 8 inches, whatever, and it comes inside.
Yeah.
So the bird comes into your house. It's like a little clear box. And I'm like, oh, it's like they're
that's
living in your house.
amazing.
They go in to get the food, but they're actually in your house in the clear box.
I want that
I
so bad.
I'll find the link to you.
I've always loved birds. I had birds growing up. We had lots of them, and my grandmother had lots. She raised canaries. She always had 100 canaries plus at any given time. Like, I grew
Wow.
up with a lot of birds.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I've never felt great about the idea of a bird in a cage. And so, but I think they're extraordinary. And so this idea of being able to have a bird in your house that
I love it
isn't
too.
caged is perfect.
It's like your pet, but not really.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can still fly away.
Feed in, it just goes and comes back.
Oh, it's so awesome. Yeah.
Oh, I don't have any birds. I don't particularly want to have any birds in my house. I think that's a cool idea. I will like it at your house, Emily, because I have the 2 dogs and a cat. I don't know if I can take on
Yeah.
anything else right now.
Your cat would be a little
My cat's
crazed.
already like why don't I get to go outside? You know,
Yeah.
and now it'd be like to bring a bird with a thing
That comes in.
that comes in.
Like, if you go outside, you can't be on camera.
Oh, right, right.
Her cat loves to be the center of the show during our time with them on the show.
He knows when
Yeah.
somebody's live streaming something somewhere. If I have a Zoom meeting, he somehow senses it. He's got to come up and say hello to everybody on the camera.
Yep.
My son, when he's doing his online instruction for school, many times Salem is like, "Oh, are we having history right now?" Then I need
Let me
to say
show
hello.
you a little of my booty history.
Let's talk. But he's definitely. We'll have had him almost a year in November, and he's definitely been a great
great
addition to the house.
So, ladies, what is the elegant segue to
No,
our
I just,
conversation?
let me handle this.
Okay.
Let me handle
Yeah.
this. Listeners, when I walked into the studio this evening before we started recording this, I walked in on a conversation about orgasms that Emily was having with
Karen.
I wanted to
I
say
wasn't having an
Joan right
orgasm
now,
with
but
Karen. We were having a
but Emily was
conversation.
having this conversation with Karen, and I said, "Stop right there. Let's save this for the podcast." So I'm going to ask them to rewind
Yeah.
back to the beginning of that conversation as if it's brand new. And there
Okay.
you go.
Okay, so ladies, I've recently been having conversations with a few of my girlfriends about the female orgasm, and
Because she ran out of things to say about COVID.
I was like, let's talk about something more fun.
Let's talk about like attracting like.
Orgasm is like the opposite end of the spectrum of COVID.
Right, exactly. I want to attract more orgasms. So, in talks with a regular contributor on our show, Dr. Becky Lynn, she's often talked about how women don't commonly orgasm during sex, the penetration side of sex, and I was
Alone.
always
like penetration
Ro-
alone.
right. So I was always kind of comforted by that because I'm like, yeah, I can relate to that,
I can relate to that.
I
Right.
can relate to that.
Okay.
I
So
think most people can relate to that.
really?
Yeah, even if they say they don't. I think that they actually can.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've been having some conversations lately that have made me feel contrary to this. So I have most of the women that I've been talking to, and it's my little one-on-one survey, are all like, "Oh, yeah, I have reached orgasm during normal
Penetration.
or during penetration and that kind of thing. And then I've also had conversations with men who are like, oh yeah, every woman orgasms, which I understand that could be a little bit like there could be some
ego involved.
right. There would be something else
There's a
going
little
on
ego
there.
There have been
involved.
some really great actresses in his lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or that he wasn't talking about penetration only.
So that's the
Correct.
thing.
Possibly.
So, I'm just curious about this because, to be honest, I have never had like orgasm actual during like just the penetration side of sex
Without any clitoral stimulation.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So orgasm vaginal only has
Never
not
happened.
been. Yeah.
Never happened.
I would have to say in my lifetime, I have had that maybe twice, 2 to 3 times.
Okay. So this
Only.
I had had it probably. Well, I didn't really count as I was going along.
there's another hashtag.
Well, there we are. I would probably say no, not 10 times, maybe 5, somewhere 5 times.
Okay.
But I think a lot of it now in hindsight, luckily I'm old enough to have enough
Hindsight.
experience. A lot of that had to do with the mental part that went into it.
Okay.
Um,
Like help me
the
get
mental, I was pretty wound up before it even started.
You
like,
were on the edge before you
I
started.
think,
Yeah.
Probably you could have walked through the room and I was gonna
you would have orgasms. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I don't think it was gonna take much.
Yeah.
So I think
And then you're
that's
like, it's like you had your own premature orgasm.
exactly. Right. I was like,
Oh well.
Wouldn't that be amazing if as women we could
great.
prematurely orgasm? That would be amazing.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd do this for a little bit longer, but now it just is too great. So, cigarette?
I think when you do it by yourself, you can prematurely, because
Well, yeah.
you got your skills down.
You know exactly the button to push.
Whoops, I was really hoping it'd take 1 minute and 3/4 as opposed to 45 seconds.
You know your deadlines. If I don't get in the shower soon,
Oh my God! Oh, I gotta get dressed.
I'm gonna miss.
I could squeeze this in right now. I'm pretty sure.
I can rub one out.
Right. I gotta brush my teeth, put my lipstick on, and there's time for another.
So when Emily shows up without her lipstick on, we're like, oh, she
squeezed
took a
a
little
little
long
time.
this morning. She needed a little more extra time.
I do think that though, having sex with men, they think about that. Sometimes I think that's really all they think about. Like, is their orgasm and
Like for the partner or for themselves?
for themselves,
Oh,
but they
well, yeah.
pretend like it's for the partner, and they want to be respectful and say, "Well,
Did you come?
did you come first? Because then I just really want to go to sleep, and if I could come, then it would be great."
Could you please tell me that you came? Because I'm so
I
tired.
don't want you to tell me I'm selfish.
You know what? I think that you're right. I think that hopefully there is a percentage of men that actually do want you to feel great.
I think
But-
so too.
And I think that exists. But I agree that, years past. I'm not talking, like I'm not calling out anybody right now.
None of us are talking current.
Right.
No.
Ain't nobody current, so
Not right now.
Historical past would say, in my limited numbers, that usually it's been more about, But here's the other question I have. I think, at least for myself, I think that all the information that we get about sex as women, in knowing that men, we've had selfish male partners in the past.
a few of them.
A few.
That's
Yeah.
just one.
No.
And not one that we all shared,
No, right. All different male partners
who have been selfish.
who have been selfish. So we've kind of been trained sexually in a certain way. We know that if we, Kegel during a certain moment of time, that's going to put them overboard. We know if we nibble on their ear at a certain moment of time, it's going to put them overboard. We know
Because
if
we have to take a shower, we've got to get
Right.
dressed. We need to get
we know
moving.
if we arch in a certain way, that's going to, right. So I think that, like, I don't know, I feel that maybe I've imparted some of that knowledge in just my normal sexual experience. And so I don't think that I've completely always let it go, like fully let it go. Because I think that I've been having sex by the way that I've been trained to have sex.
Right, just
Right?
like creating, just like our
Yeah.
conversation before, where you follow a path that you already know. So you made it up one day and it was great. So you just, or whatever it was just like went into that groove and they're like, well, that's how it goes.
Right.
Without just completely making it up completely from scratch as you go along.
Which is why I wonder if that's why I've never had an orgasm through penetration during sex. Have I not let go enough? And
Because you
therefore,
think it's supposed to go a certain way, maybe.
right.
So when I have had sex with women, I didn't really have a book that told me how to do it. So I didn't have a preconceived, like, this is how it goes.
Did you have more orgasms during sex with women than you did with men?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then in the beginning, I always said, well, probably because women know women.
Women know women. You're right. That makes sense.
I don't know if that's really true. I think it's that you don't have a preconceived idea of what you're supposed to do. You know,
So it's
like,
experimental.
it's all kind of,
Yeah.
but it's not really. But your brain thinks it. It's like
yeah.
experimental or like a playground.
I've always enjoyed. For me, it's always been more fun when sex feels like you're playing around. And it's more experimental, and you're doing different things, and not doing that. Okay, it's time to be on top. Now it's time to be on bottom. Now it's time to be behind, and that's it. When you get into a routine, that's not great.
It's like, this is such a routine.
Rub the boobs,
right,
rub the
It's
clit.
taking 14 minutes exactly.
right,
Yeah.
3 songs or done.
right. 3 songs. Wow, that's a long time.
That's a long time, actually. I mean, one.
Yeah. Yeah.
A short one.
Yeah. Acapella that I sang. Yeah. No,
It's not Miss American Pie either.
8 minutes.
Right.
Can you
Bohemian
please just last
Rhapsody.
the second stanza? I mean, you got to work on it, hon. I think that when Emily's talked about like really like letting go, right? I think that's a common state of mind for I would say for women, because I can't speak for men, but women, myself included, when you're in a sexual situation, and I think that letting go, or the inability to truly let go, and is it comes from a place of you don't trust yourself and that partner, I think, fully enough to just be completely open and vulnerable with that. And I think that's because we've had shitty sexual partners.
Yeah.
Or you're open and vulnerable, but the other person isn't
Not.
open and vulnerable. And you know that you don't necessarily want to go there if they're not going there too.
And you can sense that. You can sense that,
you're
and you
like-
sort of shut.
Because it's kind of like a little bit uneasy, because it's like, you might-
Okay.
even if they're not being vulnerable, but just not like
You just
taking your vulnerability that seriously, like,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, so like, how do you get there? How do you get to that point? How, and I don't have any answers with that.
Well, how think about, ladies, the times that you have gotten there, aside from like Karen, what you're talking about, where you knew, like, you walked in the door and you were going to get there. Like, aside from those kinds of moments, are there things that
I think mine were probably completely freak accidents, and I'm putting that in air quotes, because I feel like I was probably more like in the situation where Karen was. Like, I was probably already riding that line of an orgasm that no matter what went inside my vagina, I was going to come.
you're right?
And it just happened to be a penis.
You
at
had the
that time.
you had the corduroy panties on.
And the
they
corduroy
were,
panties,
like,
I was
stimulating
making
you.
sparks fly. Like there was obviously lots of great foreplay, whether that foreplay was all in my mind or it was a joint foreplay that was happening. And so other than that, it would be like, freak because for me, it has to be clitorally stimulated as well.
Yeah.
And I'm all good for the blended orgasm, that's totally fine, but it's usually instigated. The clitoris is what's going to drive me over the edge.
It's so conscious though. Then it's like, oh, okay, let me,
Oh.
It's like you kind of have to put your brain into it, and you take your natural everything's just going on out of it, and kind of is just like disturbing, or like like the record stopped or something.
Yeah. And then I always hate though is like you're writing and you're like, oh, I'm gonna orgasm so nicely. It's what the fuck happened? Where did it go?
It goes away. I have that happen all the time.
You're like,
I'm there and then it goes. It's like
Because you got hungry.
It's like
and you
whack-a-mole.
were thinking about what's to go to the kitchen.
you're like ready to jump over that fence, right? You're like,
Nope.
oh. Well, then
I
fuck.
really think
Yeah.
it's about energy. The more we were talking about energy earlier, and I will specifically say my husband this time, but the first time we had sex, there was literally electricity was going through us, but it was, I think, because he was shooting out energy from himself, and it was a combination. And I think over time that you don't shoot out you're not so present to your energy.
Okay.
You're not. I think energy is really important, and how you bring your energy to the table, and I think that a lot of times people don't bring anything to the table much in sex. They just go, we can just do this, but you gotta the more energy you can bring to the table,
The better is for everybody.
and I think that's the start of how that 2-second orgasm's gonna
That 2-second orgasm that had you suspended in time for 5 minutes in your mind.
solid
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, we should ask somebody how they do those 28-minute orgasms that are down in history.
Well, that's all about denying the orgasm and living on the edge.
Oh, it's a teetering on the edge orgasm.
That's the Sting. Sting has that that
actually
was
sounds
right.
Is that the tantric thing?
It is,
Yeah.
right? It's where
Well,
you're
I mean,
like,
it's going to be really terrible because if I ride that orgasm too long or that the tease and my body goes, well, fuck, if you're not going to take it, I'm just going to, goodbye.
We'll just absorb it.
I'm just going to go back in here.
there have been times where it's like, this is feeling so great. I kind of just want to keep it feeling so great. And I have denied the pushover because I'm like, this just feels so great.
Yeah.
And then I've shortchanged myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And then really, how can you sulk?
I mean, you can.
I didn't come. Honey, I was I know you're working a long time, but I didn't come. Just pouty face, bat my eyes.
So I did
All right,
hear.
I'll get back in there. No, don't. It's gone now.
So, so our producer shared.
Oh, are you going to talk about her orgasms?
Oh,
She's
no,
not
no,
here?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I'm not going to say that. But she has a philosophy,
Okay.
which I'm going to talk about,
Okay.
which I think is fair to share.
All right.
Which is want you have an orgasm, you should be manifesting or taking in what you want out of
Life?
life. Yeah. So I was like, that kind of makes a lot of sense because you're in this height of pleasure and everything. And then you're orgasming and embracing the world, embrace good in, right? Is basically what that is. So I have gotten myself into some serious trouble with that technique, but I've also gotten myself into some better things.
Okay, you have to tell us the trouble you got into.
Well, I mean, the trouble is I'm almost there, and I'm thinking, oh, I can manifest right now, and the orgasm disappears, and I'm like, can't manifest, right?
I did read I don't even know where I read this, though, that if you stop yourself from having an orgasm and then you start completely over from scratch and then you start going up that avenue again, then the next time it's going to be enormous.
When you finally
do it the second time. almost get there and then stop on purpose.
Really?
And then start going again from like the warm up stage, the ground
Is
up.
that for men and women?
Both, yes. I
Really?
read that somewhere a while ago. It actually, when it falls off, might be a good thing.
Okay.
Because then you could.
It might be
you gotta keep
inspiring. It might be inspiring something
Might be
greater for
inspiring.
myself. Yeah. But I have realized the quick manifestation.
You don't.
I have.
You're like, okay, I'm just gonna.
It
So
does
what
work.
do you What are you manifesting? What kind of thing?
Orgasms.
More orgasms. like a vacation or like a new outfit.
Yes, she's laying there, and he's pumping hard at her. She's like, "Oh, bring me some more shoes, baby. Bring me more shoes.
Mama wants some shoes.
I think I probably did pretty good at that one.
Take me to the beach." What are you like? What the hell?
It's COVID. There's no beach.
Mama wants it all. Okay, I can give you it all.
Yeah. Well,
That's funny.
I think it'd be like something to at least let your partner be aware of. Hey,
I'm trying to manifest.
hey, when I get close to orgasm, I usually start calling in things from the universe. So not to freak you out, but that's your cue to go at it hard.
Because we want it great.
We really want this one. Instead of going, yes, you go, we really want this one. We really want this
It's
one.
good for
This
you
is
and
a good
me.
one. This is a really good manifestation.
This is right. Yes.
We are going to get this. I can feel it right now. It's all about feeling it, right?
You're
You know,
right.
feeling like you're having sex on the beach.
So rather than if I can see it, I can achieve it, is if I can feel it.
Feel it, you
I
can achieve it.
No, if you can feel it, it will come.
Oh.
There's a t-shirt.
What a play. What a play.
So maybe that's why you can manifest so well, because you're really feeling more than you are in a lot of times of your life at that moment. So you're really feeling, you can tune in to your feelings much more clearer. So it's like just
Yeah.
taking advantage of that of feeling. Maybe
Well,
we
you're
should all
pretty
feel
raw
that.
at that moment, right?
Well, and I've also subscribed to or read or have friends told me, I don't know, we're on our second bottle of wine. When the orgasm comes, like when you're having an orgasm, like if like we are putting out into the world positive, beautiful energy at that time, and that if more people orgasmed on a regular basis, solo or partnered, we could have more beautiful energy that's out there in the world doing great things for us.
I
I think you
agree.
just solved the world's problems, right?
But we need to add a little piece on top of that. It's without shame. Because, and I know we just talked about shame
Yeah,
the
last
last episode, and there is value in that.
Yeah.
However, like an orgasm, if you're having it solo, or you know, with a
at me
with a if you're having it
It's
solo,
solo. If you're having it solo, pat me on the back. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right, Michelle. It's okay. But those of you who are having it solo,
or partner,
Or
whatever. I mean, it's, you know, I think sometimes because of the way we're raised or social issues, or, you know, there's some shame attached to sex. And so,
just a tiny bit.
exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. So letting that go, having the orgasm. Now, that's not to say like if you're a pedophile, have a, you know, like
I
that.
don't
I'm
think
like,
we have.
right. I'm not
I would
talking
say
about
that we don't have any pedophiles listening to our
Right.
podcast, so we can
Right.
just go ahead and discount that whole
that kind of
population.
orgasm. Not great, but you know, what were healthy orgasms, right?
Well, you know, let's not qualify what somebody's orgasm is.
Okay.
You know, because what you and I think is a healthy orgasm may not be what we may judge somebody's orgasm as.
I
that's
don't
not
want to
healthy.
judge somebody's orgasm.
So
Yeah.
you know, if you are,
I don't want to be the orgasm police. I really
Yeah, that
don't.
seems like 2 more bottles of wine.
Yeah.
Doesn't really
right.
count.
like, like we're
Orgasm
gonna rate the orgasms.
There's
you know?
another T-shirt. Orgasm, please.
Yeah.
So
Have you met your quota, Mr. Police
met your
Officer?
ticket me, please.
What do the ticket pads look like? Excuse me.
Just circle some more there. It's not quite there. Yeah, just check that box. But I think if anybody, like, if you orgasm, you orgasm. And I think what you were trying to say, not necessarily use it, like maybe healthy was the wrong word, or maybe not like a totally appropriate word, but if you're having an orgasm at the expense of, not in the appreciation of somebody else.
Yes, you're right.
If you can appreciate, then that is a fulfilling, fruitful, positive energy manifestation that shoots out into the universe, and we could all use more of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the universe can.
I was thinking about when I was younger, and about selling stuff, not to change the subject so drastically.
Yeah, because from orgasms to selling things.
Stuff.
Yeah.
But I always
It is the oldest profession.
You have to get somebody else to do something, was my thinking when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And now I think totally differently, because it's really about connecting and engaging, and kind of like having an orgasm together. It's not about taking, it's about like co-creating.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Because if you're thinking about co-creating, even when you are selling something, you're co-creating something. You're you're swapping money for something, but you're co-creating something for them, and it's an exchange of that energy. And I think if we thought about sex a little bit more like co-creating, or
not procreating.
Procreating.
Love
or
it.
taking or giving, because sometimes it's like,
it is.
Is it taking or giving?
Yeah.
I think it's not either. I mean, it's or both. It's because co-creating is my favorite word anyway. But
I love it.
Well,
but sex like that.
I love that perspective, because how much more power in that energy exchange and bonding between two people, or you and your hand.
What are they creating?
Right, but that's it has the power just ripples out there into the world, versus I got mine.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry you didn't come when I was busy down there.
Right.
Too bad, so sad. It could be life altering for our society.
One small different perspective.
A shift in your approach and how you look at it. It's the same act.
Same act. Like we're all together in this, even the whole big world of the coronavirus. Is we're co-creating the future of the world right now.
It's true.
But not a lot of people are participating in this sex, are they?
No.
Well, we're gonna have a new baby boom for sure.
I think
Right?
I've already seen some 6-month-old, not 6-month-olds, but like women who look like they're like at the 6th month of pregnancy walking around my neighborhood. So they got it going on early COVID days.
Yeah.
Just don't name your child Rona.
Yeah, no kidding.
or Connie, or
Corrine.
Corinne. COVID, please. Yeah.
No.
It's just I think that the orgasm is like one of the greatest gifts that we have as human beings. I don't know if I know the animals will ejaculate. They procreate. They continue to make their own species and stuff like that. But do they have the orgasm like humans do?
We've heard pigs do. I've heard that.
So when they say she squealed like a pig, it's for real.
I read that. We should probably get somebody to confirm that. But
We'll get our producer on that.
I heard that somewhere.
All right.
So, but it's a great gift, and I've had the saying for a long time that you can't orgasm when you're dead, so you might as well orgasm as much as you can.
Well, I think coming down to have a human experience on Earth, that's one of the things that we're human for. Because you can't do it when you're dead. I think you can do.
We talked about this in our live show a little bit.
Yeah, we did. Go ahead. Continue.
You can't orgasm when you're. I think that to have a the human sexual experience, that being a human, that's part of it. That's what we came down to figure out and enjoy.
Yeah, the blending of the energy in a physical way, right? And
Yes.
so, what we kind of explored in our time of the month live show, I was like, everybody talks about, okay, yeah, when we're beyond this life, we're in this non-physical form, and we can't orgasm and whatnot. I was like, are you sure?
Are you sure
about that? Who's to say?
Right.
But-
Who's to say?
Right? I want to attract the possibility.
Like maybe they say that we're all energy then.
Right.
Maybe we're
We're
everybody's
just
orgasm.
a constant orgasm.
We're like all
And
of them.
maybe when things feel a little out of sorts in the world, it's because the collective energy of souls are like, you guys need to have more orgasms because we need more energy flowing up to us right now.
Okay.
We're running our fuel tank, energy tank we're getting down to quarter.
Right.
of
Don't
the
you
tank.
think the collective souls probably need some more orgasms
I think they
going
do.
on
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
And
A little more belly giggle laughs,
Yes.
a little more
Yes.
orgasms.
and in today's times, how you can make those connections are harder than they were before, right? They're a little bit more difficult, but you're worth it. Listeners, Emily, Karen, we're worth it. We're worth those connections. We're worth those orgasms, and we should have as many as we possibly can. However you can.
Maybe when we're having our future orgasms, we should think about doing it for the better good of the world.
Love that.
maybe we could.
Oh, I'm just doing it to help everyone out.
Humanity.
When after that orgasm that I gave out to the universe the other day, I noticed everybody was smiling so much more. Everybody had a little skip in
Everyone's
their
like,
step.
no, you go, you go, you go.
You go ahead and go.
Fine.
You go first. I'll go third.
We all had a little more kindness for each other because we put that out in the universe. So,
So
But
think
it's-
positive thoughts
positive
and
thoughts.
have orgasms.
Yeah, you know, and if you have any questions or anything like that, you can always email us here at the Clearly Speaking Podcast at gmail.com, or you can call us on our voicemail line, and we will.
Which is on our website.
Oh, that number's on our website.
Know,
No, I think I know it. 812-727-0794.
impressive.
I got that down.
And if you want to see Karen's artwork, where will you find that?
Yes, my website, my name, KarenAnnJones.com.
Is that KAREN?
Yes.
ANNJONES. Yes.
Perfect. KarenAnnJones.com. We'll have a link to that in the show notes as well as on our website. But this has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Karen, for coming.
I've had the best time, thank you.
Marvelous.
You know,
And I'm not going to really have orgasms the same after this, I can tell you. I'm going to be thinking of the two of you.
yes, just try to refrain calling our names out. You know,
It's for all of us. It's really for all of
this
us.
is for the universe.
The world.
I need to go back and give the universe another one. So, but anyway, thanks for coming to the studio. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Take care. I hope you learned something, Sam.
Physical there at the end.